deal with Senator Kushner, and you know, Kassar was born with Shane Mosley. That was also the very first fight at the Mohegan Sun Casino in Connecticut. So, you know, then with James Toney and his fights with Montel Griffin, going into the promotion side, both Vitaly and Vladimir Klitschko. The first fight we had with Vitaly was Corey Sanders at the Staples Center under K2 Promotions when he won his WBC Heavyweight Championship title. Vladimir Klitschko, so many memorable fights on HBO, sold out soccer stadiums in Europe, you know, all throughout Europe. It was from Moscow with Vladimir against Povetkin, from Poland, Vitaly versus Adamek, Vladimir versus David Haye. I remember, you know, it's always nervous going outdoors, but for all the HBO folks that were there, at the worst rain that year in July in Germany, in an outdoor soccer stadium in Hamburg, Germany, when Vladimir beat David Haye. That was a downpour, torrential downpour, but Vladimir was victorious. You know, so many more Klitschko fights from Germany. Vladimir Klitschko against Anthony Joshua at a sold-out Wembley Stadium just last year. You know, going into Triple G, one of my most passionate projects that I've ever worked on. When I first met with HBO, and I met with other TV stations as well. And basically the meeting went. Mark, I think you were in that meeting. Mark, Kerry Davis, Peter Nelson. And I said, here's an undefeated WBA middleweight champion from Kazakhstan. He's willing to fight anyone. He doesn't need a lot of money. He wants the opportunity to fight on HBO. And later, through the cancellation of Daniel Dio, he was set to fight Dmitry Pirog on HBO. Dmitry unfortunately hurt himself, and then he fought Proxima on HBO. That was September 1, 2012, also 6 years ago. And since that time, you know, I don't know, HBO didn't really know what to do with a guy from Kazakhstan that his English wasn't very good. A lot of people couldn't pronounce his name, so we just called him Triple G. And I could say that on that fateful night, September 1st, 2012, Star was born. You know, then going into the Rosado fight, the Curtis Stevens fight, leading up to the Daniel Jacobs fight, the Brook fight from 02. We brought HBO to Monte Carlo, where he sold out the sporting hall there, sponsored by the Principality of Monte Carlo. Prince Albert was in the audience when you host that fight, and the most famous casino in the world is hosting the after party or the weigh-in. It's that's just an amazing experience. HBO was you know, the footage they got of Triple G running, and Kieran, you were there in Monaco, running along the water was amazing. So anyway, and naturally with Triple G leading up to the Canelo fights, which we thought he won both fights, but you know, the judges somehow the judges saw it differently than the majority of the media and the fans. But that's a side note. By the way, Canelo is fighting December 15th. They'll say I never talk about other people's promotions. Canelo is fighting December 15th at Madison Square Garden on the Zone. His first fight on the Zone. Chocolatito Hernandez, Chocolatito, Roman Gonzalez, really was almost launched at the same time as Triple G. You know, I have to give Peter Nelson a lot of credit with his foresight, putting on Triple G, putting on a flyweight when flyweights weren't in fashion. You know, nobody, at least not in the States. You know, here in Japan, Mexico, South America, Thailand, Korea, you know, they're popular, very popular divisions. But in America, we just didn't really have, you know, since, was it Chiquita Gonzalez and Michael Carvalho. and launching Chocolatito Gonzalez on HBO. It's just a testament to their platform. Chocolatito was a tremendous champion, one of the pound-for-pound best champions. As soon as he got the exposure on HBO, within months, people had him, mainstream media had him as their top pound-for-pound fighter as a super flyweight. Chocolatito gave us so many great fights. Madison Square Garden here to perform at StubHub Center. And then breaking the glass ceiling, the very first female fight on HBO on Cinco de Mayo, the co-feature in Triple G, Braekhus, was a huge accomplishment. So I'm excited and I'm proud to have had the milestones on HBO. Now having Clarissa also featured on HBO, it really, as I mentioned before, it's just a huge testament to where female championship boxing is. We did a fight, I remember, Mark, in Madison Square Garden, Braekhus was fighting. And I was begging HBO. We had probably the most famous female champion ever in the sport, Layla Ali. Not only because of her last name, but also because she could really fight. And I was begging HBO, you have the daughter of the greatest of all time fighting on Vladimir Klitschko's show. We couldn't get HBO to show it, but it took a few years, it came around, and they're putting on some of the best talent in the female division right now, female boxing. In fact, I think, Mark, it was one of those things where HBO wanted to interview Muhammad. He was there, her father was there, and I said, if you put on Layla's highlights, you can do the interview with Muhammad Ali. But I mean, it's just been so many great memories. I won't be able to mention them all. But now, getting back to the actual fight that we're promoting this Saturday night, I want to bring up principles that are involved with this show. Naturally, we have to thank the StubHub Center. We've had tremendous fights at the StubHub Center. Something about that arena where people just rise, the boxers rise to the occasion. When Cecilia fought Kelly Reese there, Kelly Reese rose to the occasion. It was the first time Cecilia's ever been knocked down in her career. When we had Chocolatito fighting there, when Nolito Denier and Nicholas Walters were fighting there. I mean, so many tremendous fights from the StubHub Center, and it's just something that's in the outdoor air that it just becomes such an exciting fight. Provodnikov was there in one of his memorable fights. So we're excited about the StubHub Center. We priced it at $25. We want as many people to come as possible. The tickets starting at $25. We want to thank our sponsor, Tecate, and the MGM Resorts. Naturally, it will be shown on HBO Boxing. I believe the start time, Tony Walker can give you all the details. HBO starts at 7:20. The doors open at 3 o'clock. First fight, we have such a great undercard. We'll get into the undercard fighters. Undercard fights start. We've actually had 10. I think this might be the most fights we've ever done. Everyone, it's year end. Everyone wants to get on the show. So I think we have 10 fights now. The first fight is probably 3:30, 3:45. So get there early. It's an exciting undercard. But now, to give his interpretation, his view on the number of years he's been at HBO and all the events we've done together with Tony Walker at HBO. I want to bring him up, representing
Thanks, Tom, not just for Saturday, but for all the great shows that you've helped us put on. It's been great every time, every show I remember we went. But on Saturday, we have another Boxing After Dark and a card that befits what we've always thought Boxing After Dark would be. We have the great Cecilia Braekhus back for a second time on HBO this year. We have Estrada, the warrior who never turns down a big fight. And we we have Clarissa Sheilds, who has the credentials that will rival any boxer, male or female, with those 2 gold medals. But big names like that mean great opportunities for the opponents. And I expect firefights as the opponents go for their own grab at glory. And I expect a big night and a great show on Saturday. This is our 18th trip to Carson. As Tom said, big things always happen. And maybe it is the air, I don't know, but we expect the moments to be big and our customers to have a great night. There have been 351 total boxing after dark fights since 1996, over 175 different shows. So this franchise has been a great platform for boxing. We will be on, as Tom said, at 7 local time, 10:20 Eastern time, and we really do expect a big night and a memorable night. And I want to thank all of you for all the support of this show and all the shows we've done over the years. You really do a lot to make boxing great, and we promise a great broadcast. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony. You kept that a lot shorter than I thought you were going into more detail, but I listed that. I also want to recognize Bill Kaplan, who's in the audience. Bill's seen the majority of these HBO fights. Bill, longtime publicist, involved with some of the biggest fights, and just having him here is an honor, because Bill's pretty much seen it all, involved with George Foreman, amongst many other great champions. So, personal friend, lives here locally. Just want to recognize, thank you, Bill, for being here and helping out with the show. With that, now we're here because of championship fights. We have 3 WBC World Championship fights on this show. More specifically, 3 WBC Female World Championship fights. That might be a record. I think Mauricio said he was going to apply for the Guinness Book of World Records for this show, especially having the main event as a female championship fight, having the opening fight of the HBO broadcast being a female championship fight, unified championship fights, both of them, and the featured fight of the undercard. The undercard will be live streamed. We'll send out all the details on the social media, but it will be live streamed. It won't be geo-blocked. It will be available all over the world. Lulu Houghton will be fighting for the atomweight WBC championship fight. So we're just excited to have so many title fights on this show. So representing the WBC, I want to bring up Pepe Sulu.
Good afternoon to everyone. Before I start, I would like to present Tom Lawler with this Chiapas mini belt for his involvement and success in the medal fight. So on behalf of BBC, we will present this mini belt. Tom has done it again. He came out with a great idea, successful Superfly cards. Now he's with HBO. He's taking a step forward to bringing women's boxing to a higher level. And of course, this is the first time ever. And the WBC has worked very much, very diligently to give honorability and inclusion to women in boxing. That has been always from my father, Mr. Sulaiman, who started. You know, I would like to talk a little bit about something that I've been hearing in every media workout and every reunion where women boxing are together. It took more than 2 years for the first female fight extensive medical studies. There's always a question, why 2-minute rounds, only 10 rounds, and it is based strictly on this medical study that was conducted, and not just by any doctor. It was a UCLA neurological foundation that the WBC has been working with them since the late 70s, early 80s. So, you know, the physiology of the movement is different. So the WBC is dedicated to protecting the boxer, even against themselves. But everybody in the room know what I mean when a boxer sometimes go over their own limits. So we're there to try and make a difference, to give them dignity before, during, and after their times of glory in the ring. So it is very important, and unless somebody comes with medical proof that rounds should be 3 minutes and 12 rounds, then we will go ahead. But until now, medical studies show that it should be as they are right now. So we are very, very happy to have in the United States a card with all women. And the guys in this card, I don't know if they're going to get nervous because they're surrounded by beauty. By beauty and also tremendous talents. We have the best in the world right here in this room. And we cannot be more happy and appreciative to see a card like this. Thank you to Tom Loeffler and HBO. Hopefully they will come back. We're going to miss them very much. So I just want to wish everybody the best of luck. We are always in their corner. For our women, for men, always trying to make a sport better, safer, and more equal for everybody. So may the best women win. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Pepe. We always give homage and remembrance to Pepe's father, Mauricio's father, Hector Suleiman's father, to the great Don Jose Suleiman. Don Jose is a pioneer for the sport of boxing. Through the WBC, he's instituted many rules and regulations, safety rules and regulations. And we always, whenever there's a WBC fight, in my heart, I always think of Don Jose. Don Jose was one of the closest friends of Vitaly Klitschko, and you know, just always a pleasure to be around. Always one of the best for his WBC champions and for the sport of boxing. I also want to recognize, who I forgot to mention, as someone that I work with, John David Jackson is here, coincidentally, in the house. He's a trainer for Sheilds. John David and I go way back. He had that memorable fight against Jorge Castro in Mexico, where the referee should have stopped that fight. For anyone that saw that fight, it was probably one of the bloodiest fights you'll ever see. Both of Castro's eyes virtually closed, and somehow he came up with, you know, the Sunday punch, I guess is how you would call it. But John David, WBA junior middleweight champion, is also here, and I've had the honor of working with John David over a number of years. So I want to recognize him as a Sheilds trainer as well. So now we can get into the fighters on the show. As I mentioned, we have a great undercard. I want to see one of the fan favorites here in Los Angeles. He's been on a lot of our Hollywood shows at the Avalon, Hollywood Fight Nights. Trained by Abel Sanchez. Runs alongside Triple G, one of the few boxers that actually runs faster than Triple G when he trains up the Big Red, like a running machine. He's 11-0 with 11 knockouts. I want to bring him from Ukraine. I want to bring up Sergey Bohachuk.
I had 11 fight knockouts. I show you 11 knockouts. Thank you guys.
Sergey is one of those fighters to keep an eye on. Tremendous amateur career out of Ukraine. We've seen Ukrainian amateur boxing, Lomachenko, Usyk with the nail that just won a WBC title. And Sergey is, like I mentioned, 11-0, 11 knockouts. Keep an eye on him. Future world champion. Anyone that says Abel Sanchez somehow has lost a few fights, he's got 2 fighters fighting in France on Saturday night. Sergey's fighting at the StubHub Center. He's got a fighter fighting in Indio on the Golden Boy show, and he's personally in Madison Square Garden on the Lomachenko show. So anyone that wants to kind of downplay Abel's accomplishments, he's got a pipeline of champions up there in Big Bear, California. So I appreciate Sergey being on the show. It's very hard to find opponents for Sergey with his knockout ratio, and we have big expectations for him. Also, yeah, we'll get into the title fights. I don't think, is Lorraine Villalobos? She's local here in LA, but I'm not sure if she made it to the press conference. I think she might have still been doing some of her tests. But if Lorraine's not here, then we'll go into the featured fight on the undercard. Louisa Bang Bang Houghton. I want to make sure I say her correct name. Tremendous fighter, very exciting. She's all the way from Australia. She's been on a number of our shows. Very controversial decision in the last fight against Brenda Flores. Unfortunately, Brenda Flores got sick. She was scheduled to be here for this fight. So right now, Lulu is going to be fighting Lorraine Villalobos. So to come up and say a few words, another longtime friend of mine, say a few words on behalf of Lulu, and to introduce her is Elvis Grant Phillips.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here, and I'm happy that my girl Lulu is once again on a big card here in California. Thanks to Tom, thanks to the support of the fans and the WBC. And I'll tell you, the last female fighter, I've managed 8 world champions, but the last female fighter that I had any involvement with was Leila Ali. And it really doesn't get much better than that. She was beautiful, she could fight, and she was the whole package. And Tom and I both had the privilege of being a part of her career. And female boxing, I mean, we need more of that. We need that to revive the sport. The females need to get the respect, the males, and they need to get the breaks, start making the money that the males are making, because I can tell you with my girl, she works harder than all 8 of those champions I mentioned, and she goes in there and gives it 110% every time. And as I said, you know, it's that time for female boxing to come up. So this is great. It's sad that HBO has to come to an end, but if it's going to end, let it be the beginning for the women, and to open that door with 3 world championships, and to give the females their stage so that they can show that they deserve to be there, and they're every bit as great as the male fighters. As far as this fight, you know, we were scheduled to fight Brenda Flores, who the commentators had winning that last fight 8-2 and 7-3, and unfortunately we had Stevie Wonder and a couple other people that apparently couldn't see too well in the last one. And we trusted the California Commission that they'll get it right this time. And more so, trusted Lulu that she'll get it right this time, and we won't need the judges. And we'll just need a good referee, and she'll take care of business and win her second world title. So I want to wish everybody on the card the best of luck, and let's have a great show. God bless you all. And now may I introduce, from Perth, Australia, or as she would say, Perth, Australia, Louisa Bang Bang Lulu Horton.
Well, g'day everybody. Thanks for everybody coming down and being here. I welcome you all. I'm super hyped to be a part of this card. Again, Tom, thank you so much for putting me on this amazing stage. Women's boxing, take a look at it. We're growing in numbers. There's 3 World Championship fights on one card on HBO. Isn't that amazing? Yeah. I want to take a moment to appreciate the hard work that goes into creating an amazing fight night. For all the fans back at home, you get to enjoy the end result. And all the fighters have been working their asses off. So we're here to give you a show and entertain you guys and rock your socks off. And you know, I'm just so thankful to Tom, really, and the 360 team for giving me this space. I'm thankful to God for bringing me here, and I truly am so thankful to Elvis, who has fought really hard for me. And to come from Australia and be a woman and fight on this card is, you know, to fight on this level is amazing. It's challenging enough for the men to make it across the shore. I'm so thankful to be here, and my team, Elvis, myself, Chris, Elliot, we've been putting in the hard work in the gym, and we've been loving it. There's been times of really hard work, and you know, I smile in it because I love what I do. And I think I speak for all the women here. The only way we can be here truly is to love what we do with a lot of passion, and that's how we create this change for women in sport and women in boxing. I'd like to say hello to everybody in Australia. I love you guys. Aussie, 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 oi, oi, oi. And my 2 children at home, you have a big reason as to why Mom does what she does, and to teach you guys that we can create dreams any way possible, okay? I don't know what else to say. I'm just very grateful to be here, and I want to put on a great show for you guys. This was meant to be the rematch, the anticipated rematch with Brenda Flores. Unfortunately, she is sick and holidaying in Big Bear somehow. But anyway, I'm thankful that Lorraine has stepped up to the plate, and we're still able to make this fight. And like I said, the hard work that goes on, it's not easy last minute to create that. And thank you to the WBC still for giving me that opportunity. And yeah, we're going to kill it. All of us girls up here, we're going to kill it and give everybody something to look at and something to strive for all the younger girls and all the women out there that are at home with children possibly. You know, we can do this and we can create change. So thank you so much. Thank you so much, Elvis. I love you. This has been an amazing journey so far, and it's only going to get better. Thank you, guys.
For those of you in attendance at the Superfly 3 show, Lulu and Brenda Flores stole the show. That was a tremendous fight. I didn't even know when we put that fight on, I didn't know what atom weight division was, but it's 102 pounds. And I tell you, they put on one heck of a fight. Just non-stop action for the full 10 minutes. So we're excited to have Lulu back on the show. With that, now we're into the HBO fights. Broadcast, as I mentioned, starts at 7:20. Before I get into the fighters, just want to recognize a few more people that I saw in the audience. Kevin Flaherty from HBO. He's been with HBO a long time, publicist. behind the camera somewhere. Longtime photographer for HBO. Ed. Kieran Mulvaney, I saw Kieran in the back there somewhere. Always exciting on social media. Always good commentary from Kieran. Also, I'd like to recognize two other world-class fighters, just so I don't leave anyone out, is Jarrell Big Baby Miller is in the back. Go back a long way with Jarrell when he came up and provided some world-class sparring work in preparation for both Vitaly Vladimir Klitschko and Austria training camp up there in Istanbul. Those were great memories, great camps up there, and always appreciate seeing Jarrell in the ring. So I want to recognize him, and then sitting next to him is Dominic Dalton. Dominic is a training partner with Cecilia Braekhus. Dominic came up with Jonathan Banks and the Kronk system, the great Emmanuel Stewart. And Emmanuel is one of those legendary trainers that with the Kronk gym, she's had so many champions coming out of there that Dominic has a tremendous degree. And appreciated Dominic being here in LA. So now we get to the principles on the HBO fights. You know, it's one of those things. Frank Sinatra once said, if you can make it in New York, you can make it anywhere. You can make it on HBO. You can make it on anywhere. If you have the ability to get onto HBO, that means you're probably 1%, 2% of the fighters out there in the world today that has that unique opportunity to be on this platform. As I mentioned, the level of the fights, the quality of the competition, the motivation, when you get to the Stubble Center, just seems like it rises exponentially. So we're excited to have a fighter from Belgium here. She's challenging Clarissa Sheilds for all of her, not her gold medals, but all of her world championship belts. And I want to introduce Femke Hermans to say a few words.
Hello. First of all, I want to thank the Sanitas for the promotions, for the opportunity to be here. I'm only the fourth Belgian boxer who has the opportunity to fight for the WBC title. So it's even greater that I can fight here in LA for 3 world titles against one of the greatest fighters in female boxing. So it's going to be a great night on Saturday, and I'll be ready for a big fight. Thanks.
All of you that saw the footage from the media training that we did yesterday with Femke is, you can tell she's ready, she's prepared, and she's anxious to fight for these world titles. So I was impressed when I saw her down there in Santa Monica at the Churchill Boxing Club. So I think you're gonna be in for a great fight. Representing Clarissa Sheilds, I want to acknowledge Salida Promotions, Dimitri Salida, who's here, but to introduce everyone on Clarissa's team, and I'm sure to say a few words about his experience and his memories at HBO. I want to bring up Mark Teffin.
Thank you, Tom. And thank you very much for considering us and including us on this card. It's very meaningful to Clarissa Sheilds, and it's very meaningful to me. It wasn't something that I ever thought would happen for either of us. So we appreciate the class and the grace that you show welcoming us on this card. And I also want to say a welcome to the biggest heavyweight star in the sport. He looks like a defensive lineman when he walks into the arena and walks into the ring. But when he starts fighting and you see his movement, he's got the gift of gab and the gift of jab. And a heck of a right hand to go with it. And they call him Big Baby, but he is one big man. Soon to be heavyweight champion. How soon? this suit is one of those guys that gives him a chance. Jarrell Miller. Thank you, Jarrell. And I also want to thank Dimitri Salita. I met Dimitri in one of his fights when he was a 140-pound fighter fighting on HBO pay-per-view. And we became friends. I was impressed with him, not just as a fighter, but as a young man. And he has carried all of those traits with him going forward into his career now as a promoter, as a head of Select Promotions, and as a young man who's grown tremendously and is ready to take a very significant responsible position in this sport going forward. He stepped up for Clarissa Sheilds, and she is a priority to Dimitri and his company, and it makes a real difference in her career. So Dimitri, thank you very much. And thank you also for giving me the opportunity to support a customer relationship with the promoter's role. So thank you. Back in 1991, when I started HBO pay-per-view with a few of my colleagues at HBO, one of the very first people on the team who opened the doors was Tony Walker, who's here today. So it's a very special day for me to see Tony here and to celebrate this occasion this week with him. And Tony, you know I love you. Your contributions have been immense. Everybody in the industry that met you loved you over the years. I got jealous. I never heard so many people say so many good things about anyone in my life, except you and my wife. So thank you for all the years we got to work together. I appreciate your camaraderie, your friendship, and your class at all times. So why are we here? Why are we here? Okay. Good, Bill?
Just he ate Tony, you know.
Yes, he ate Tony. He ate Tony 1,000 times. Why are we here today? Ollie Frazier, Foreman Frazier, 1973. Ali Foreman, Holmes Cooney, Pryor Arguello. The list goes on and on. Hagler Hearns, that 3-round war. Best 3-round fight ever. Oscar De La Hoya, his career. De La Hoya Mayweather, De La Hoya Pacquiao, De La Hoya Trinidad. Well, Oscar fought every great champion that stood before him. Win or lose, he came back, and his heart and his character were always there. The Holyfield Boat trilogy, the Gaddy Ward trilogy, the Barrera Morales trilogy. And how about Pacquiao and Marquez? I call it a trilogy. They did it 4 times. And boy, what a punctuation Juan Marquez made, showing what a true legend he is in that final fight when he knocked out Manny. It goes on and on. We're here this week to celebrate 45 years of what I believe is the greatest series in the history of sports television. And that is HBO boxing and all of the men and women who contributed to its success year after year, decade after decade, fight after fight. You can't make up that kind of history. It takes the kind of commitment and dedication that the people who worked there and every single fighter who stepped into that ring gave us. And history lives forever. And those 45 years should be celebrated, should be honored, and it is a thrill to be a part of it this week and this weekend. Now, how do we make the transition to what's going to happen Saturday night? This is also going to be a celebration of women's boxing, women's sports, the tradition that it brings, and the new era going forward. This is the first time in my life that I get to see Cecilia Braekhus fight, and it's a real honor and a privilege for me. I've looked forward to this for a long time. Cecilia, not only is she well decorated in the ring, just look at the 6 belts that sit here on the dais. She's undisputed, the first woman to do so, undefeated. Cecilia blazed trails, Cecilia opened doors. And every woman that follows in the future, and it's going to be one heck of a future, has a debt of gratitude to Cecilia, because she put in the time to become who she is at a time when it wasn't the coolest thing in the world to be a woman trying to make it in boxing. And she gets a lot of credit, and she's very humble about it, but don't underestimate her. As tough as she is in the ring, that's how tough of a person and as big a heart and a great character as she has. So Cecilia, we all owe you a debt of gratitude, and I think she deserves a round of applause for everything she's doing. I really wish I was still working at HBO and had the chance to be involved in a fight with you, but I'll be happy to be a spectator. Now, you want to talk about the new era and what's going to happen going forward. Look what happened in MMA. Look at how the doors open for the women there. Saturday night, Chris Cyborg, UFC champion, is preparing for a fight December 29th against Amanda Nunes. Will be here, and she will walk with Clarissa Sheilds into the ring and carry one of those championship belts proudly. They've trained together, they're friends, and they have a bond as two of the baddest ladies on the planet. And it is wonderful to have somebody like Chris support us, be a part of our team, and to be here to celebrate this great event Saturday night. And Chris will have a great time. She loves to be a part of it. Now, a few years ago, I had the opportunity to meet a young woman from Flint, Michigan. And suffice it to say that though at the time I was 59 years old, she not only changed my career, but she changed my life. Clarissa Sheilds she's what they call an old soul. I truly believe that there are spirits from decades past that are within her, because it is impossible for a 23-year young woman to have the kind of maturity, the insight, and a real understanding of the gravity of her opportunities and her position in the sport and as a woman. And it makes her different than anyone who's ever walked down that aisle into the ring, male or female. Clarissa Sheilds will eliminate gender labels in boxing. We won't be talking about the greatest man or the greatest woman. We'll be talking about the greatest fighters. We'll be talking about pound for pound without having to have a gender label preceded or followed. And that will be because people come along with greatness once in a lifetime, but also in the right place in the right time, because I don't want to take anything away from Cecilia Braekhus and the great women who have opened these doors and blazed these trails, these roads for us. But Clarissa's here at the right time, and she understands that implicitly. She carries herself like a champion inside and outside the ring. She is here to change the game, not for her, but for all women and all women's sports. She wants equality for every woman that steps in that ring, in the way they're treated, in the way they're respected, in the way they're not labeled, but they're simply called great fighters, in the way they get paid, in the way they're televised. And you know what? One by one, every one of those bricks is being knocked down. She's had 7 professional fights. Sure, she's the only woman, the only American, male or female, in history to have 2 Olympic gold medals. But in 7 professional fights, she's rivaling and is likely to exceed the record set by Vasily Lomachenko, who achieved world titles in 3 weight classes by his 12th fight. Well, this young woman has 2 of them already after 7 fights. And she knows she's going down in weight because that's what it takes to make history. And that's why, if she's fortunate to win Saturday night against another great champion, Femke Hermans, who we have to thank for being here and accepting this opportunity to challenge, she'll then move on and fight Christina Hammer for the undisputed middleweight championship of the world. And if she's victorious in that fight, she will move to 154 pounds and make sure before her 12th professional fight, she will be recognized as a great and set the record for a professional fighter to win titles in 3 weight classes. That's what you do when you understand the gravity that you have, the opportunity you have, the responsibility that sits on your shoulders. That's what greatness is all about. Clarissa has come from places in life that no one can imagine. It's remarkable that she made it through the environment in which she grew up. To then become a world champion boxer, an Olympic gold medal winner, the top of the sport, and to win the world championship she's won in her first 7 fights, that's beyond belief. And that's why I say she's once in a lifetime and really is a soul from generations past. But she knows what's on her shoulders, and those shoulders, she may be going down in weight, but those shoulders are getting bigger and broader every day. And she feels proud of what she's accomplishing and the history she's making. In fact, what we call it is herstory, because that's what women like Cecilia and our woman right here, Clarissa, and Femke and other female fighters would do. They'll be carving out her story for boxing. Just wait and you see what happens over the next few years. So, having said enough words, it is my honor and my privilege to introduce to you a very special young woman who I love and who I can't wait to be beside as she continues to knock down those barriers, break through those ceilings, and establish history for the sport of boxing and for women. Clarissa Sheilds.
Start by thanking God for even having the opportunity to be here. It's a lot of fighters that could have been on this card for the last HBO show, and I'm happy that HBO thought of me. They thought of Mark, they thought of Cecilia, they thought of Lulu, and they're putting us on, you know. And I'm happy they gave us the opportunity because I feel like even though I've only been pro 2 years, me and Cecilia Braekhus are the top of the crop. You know, right now she's ranked pound for pound, #1. Y'all see all her belts down there. She got all 5. And I have 3 of the major 4 that I'm trying to do. And, you know, it's just great for us because before I turned pro, I didn't even want to sign a contract. I had 2 Olympic gold medals and I was scared as hell because I was like, if I turn pro and I can't get any fights, I can't go back amateur, I can't go back to the Olympics, and I'll just be a wasted talent. Boxing is my God-given ability. That's what God blessed me to do. And that's why I'm so great and I can move the way I do and, you know, make these big old legs and these arms work how they're supposed to. But with that being said, you know, time has changed. And I'm so glad that when I turned pro, that I have a great promoter, Dimitri Salita. I had sat down with 3 different people. Before I turned pro, I sat down with Rock Nation. I had a conversation with Leonard Ellaby, and then there was Dimitri Salita. And out of those 3, Dimitri understood my vision. And me telling him that I wanted to fight Christina Hammer, my 7th fight, he's exceeded my expectations because I thought that would be my first televised fight. But somehow I was on Showtime, my 2nd pro fight. And I was fighting at 160 for the NABF title. And I was shocked. I was thinking they were going to call me and tell me, hey, Clarissa, you were the main event, but we're bumping you down to the TV opener, or you're going to be the fight before the TV start. I thought they were going to change their mind, but they didn't. And they put me on and helped me get more exposure and let people know that Clarissa Sheilds is somebody to be reckoned with and, you know, help me live up to my name. T-Rex, and I've been able to show how mean and feisty I am. And I'm happy I'm able to bring that same energy over here to HBO. I know that this is HBO last card, but this is not a funeral, this is a celebration, okay? This is a celebration of women's boxing. This has never happened before. Cecilia Braekhus was the first woman to fight on HBO out of 45 years. That's huge. And she was the co-main event. On Saturday, she's the main event. And when I say that, I care about this so much because, of course, anybody can say, oh, I would love to be the main event, but can you perform at that level? I think that Cecilia Braekhus can perform at a level that any man can. And her being the main event is great for us. You know, it's going to make it easier for me in the future to say that I want to be the main event on Showtime. And I want to be a pay-per-view star. And it makes it easier for me because she's getting these opportunities. So, I thank her for staying motivated throughout all these years. Even though they didn't give us the opportunities that we deserve, she's very well accomplished, and she works hard, and she takes on big challenges, and she's undefeated. She's 34-0, and you know, just the fact that she stayed dedicated is the big deal. Now, them Herman didn't get up here and say anything mean about me, so I'm gonna be nice to her too, and I'll see you Saturday. And I just pray that you guys make it to the fights safely, make it to the weigh-in. You guys go crazy about it on social media. You guys celebrate this as not being the last HBO card, but being the start of a new women's era of us fighting on TV, us getting paid a lot of money, and you know, having some good fights. It's going to be a good scrap, and hopefully we have some fights. Hopefully one of us have a fight where they're like, oh, that was like an Ali Frazier type of thing. So yeah, hopefully a lot of blood and not tears. And you know, we get down and dirty. It's about to be a girl fight. Let's go. Yeah.
See, Clarissa's personality come through when you see, not only because of her boxing talent and her amateur pedigree, but what she's accomplished as a professional, what she's accomplished, like Mark said, in 7 fights is amazing. And I really think that she has such a tremendous career in front of her, and with the guidance of Mark and Dimitri, she's got a great road ahead of her. You know, Mark knew those fights in the 70s better than I did. He's got a few years on me, so able to describe those in better detail. But you know, it's just you know, having this as the first fight on the show it just shows you the testament of this show here. Larissa's been on at so much TV exposure now, and this being her 7th fight, it's going to be a great way to kick off the TV broadcast. With that being said, now I'm going to bring up, actually, I'm going to bring up one person who's been very instrumental in the Superfly shows. He's involved actually with both Victor Mendez and Juan Francisco Estrada. Great to work with, always very reliable. This fight between Victor Mendez and Gallo Estrada is co-promoted by Sanford Promotions. So I want to bring up Juan Hernandez. He can say a few words about both guys, and then we'll bring up a tremendous super flyweight fighter with Mendez and Estrada.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you all for being here today and covering this historic event. I'm going to take a word that Clarissa used to describe the show. I think it is a celebration to HBO. It was an honor for us to get a phone call from Tom that Estrada was going to be considered as a replacement for Chocolatito Gonzalez. Unfortunately, he got injured. We want to wish him speedy recovery. Estrada was training to fight in Mexico on November 24th. We couldn't make a deal for that fight, but he was in training. So when we got the phone call, he was very happy to take the fight against Mendez. It's last-minute fights are always very risky because you bring in an opponent that you were training for. Victor Mendez hasn't fought in the U.S. He's fought in the Philippines, so he's not very well known in the U.S. But in boxing, in the boxing circles, he's definitely a tough fighter. He lost a split decision to Luis Panterita Neri, who's now the WBC bantamweight champion. It was a very close fight, so Estrada's definitely in for a rough fight on Saturday. This is his 4th consecutive fight on HBO. We're extremely grateful to HBO, to Tony, to Peter Nelson, and we're very happy to be a small part of history with HBO. This is Estrada's 2nd fight at the Stud Block. He fought Carlos Cuadras there in a really good fight, so I'm sure it's going to be no exception on Saturday. And before I introduce Estrada, I just want to send a quick message to Sheilds Sorobisai. We want to have Tom tell him that his championship honeymoon is over. Estrada is a mandatory. He's already fought voluntary defenses in Thailand, so it's ready to sign the rematch. We don't want to look too far ahead. Estrada first has to take care of business on Saturday, but once he does, we need to sign that rematch because Estrada is gunning for that title. So I'll introduce to you guys the pride of Puerto Peñasco, Sonora, Juan Francisco El Gallo Estrada.
Buenas tardes a todos. Pues estoy muy contento por estar aquí de nuevo. Ya es mi cuarta pelea seguida aquí en Estados Unidos. Y pues por HBO pues va a ser una gran pelea de otro mexicano, Víctor Méndez. Tal vez mucha gente no lo conozca acá en Estados Unidos, pero es un gran peleador.
Good afternoon to everyone. I'm very happy to be here again. Since it's my fourth time on HBO, I'm looking forward to it. I'm fighting another Mexican fighter, Victor Méndez, and we're ready to give you guys a great show.
Quiero agradecer a mi empresa Latin Sport, a mi promotor Juan Hernández y pues claro a Tom y a HBO, ¿no? Y despedirlos pues con esta gran pelea este sábado.
I also want to thank everyone involved with my career, Juan Hernández, Latin Sports, Tom for giving us the opportunity, and we're going to give HBO a nice farewell with a great fight on Saturday.
Espero que disfruten esta cartelera. Estoy muy contento por estar, como lo mencioné, de nuevo aquí en Los Ángeles y pues ojalá que todas las peleas sean muy buenas para que las disfruten y se vayan con un buen sabor de boca.
I hope you enjoy the whole night of boxing. I think there's some great fights here. You're going to enjoy. I hope we put on a great show for everyone, as this is the last show for HBO. Thank you.
También quiero desearle lo mejor en una pronta recuperación a Romacho González por su lesión, su operación y pues ojalá que siga mejor.
I also want to wish a fast recovery for Chocolatito Gonzalez. Looking forward to him coming back to the ring soon.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you.
I just wanted to give an update on Chocolatito. He was out here. He was at the kickoff press conference. He was going to fight Pedro Guevara. And while he was training in Indio, California, he had twisted his knee, damaged his meniscus. He flew back to Nicaragua, had the surgery in Costa Rica, and we also, as Juan Francisco said, we wish him a speedy recovery. Chocolatito is a trailblazer for the super flyweight division, becoming back into the mainstream of boxing media. So we want to wish him, Chocolatito, fast recovery. We also want to keep Donna Stevenson in our prayers. He fought last Saturday night. As I mentioned, Gaborstik won the WBC light heavyweight championship, but in the process, Donna Stevenson suffered brain bleed and had emergency surgery. So we know Donna as well, his promoter, Yvonne Michelle, his trainer, Sugar Hill, who also came up in the Crom Gym. So the main thing, we can put on great fights, we can put on great entertainment for the fans, great TV ratings, ticket sales, sponsorships, but the main thing is that all the fighters, after they leave the ring, leave so they can go home safely. And we have to acknowledge the California Athletic Commission. I think they do a tremendous job with all of their medicals, the doctors they have on hand. And again, the primary focus, on top of everything, even on top of the titles, is the fighters making home safely. So I want to just send out a quick prayer to Adonis for that. This is, as Juan Hernandez said, this is a very dangerous fight for Estrada. Estrada is the #1 mandatory challenger for Sister Cat Sorungasai. He reinforced that with his win on Superfly 3 against Orakuda, where he became the mandatory. So to take a fight like this, if Victor Mendez wins, Victor Mendez is going to be the #1 rated super flyweight and the mandatory challenger for Sister Cat. So this is the type of fight that's dangerous. Victor Mendez, as I mentioned before, everyone rises to the occasion. This will be his first fight here in the United States, his first fight on HBO, first fight naturally at the Step Up Center. And it's a huge opportunity. If you can't think of more motivation than if he wins this fight, he gets his chance, his guaranteed chance at a world title. It's a tremendous amount of motivation. So with that being said, I want to bring up Victor Mendez from Mexico.
Buenas tardes a todos. Le doy las gracias a HBO, a Profesora 360.
Good afternoon to everyone. I want to thank HBO 360 Promotions
Por darme la oportunidad esta de pelear contra Juan. Nos vamos a entrar. Yo estaba entrenando hace 2 meses atrás, estaba entrenando una pelea contra Román Tito González.
I was getting ready, training for a couple of months back. I was thinking I was going to get a chance to fight Chocolatito, so I was getting ready for a fight.
Y se dio la oportunidad de pelear contra Juan, contra el Gallo. Y ganamos la pelea y quiero darles este sábado una buena pelea. Y va a ser una buena guerra arriba de él.
This is a great opportunity for me to fight a fighter like Juan El Gallo Estrada, and I believe it's going to be a war because I'm ready to give it my all.
Y muchas gracias por todo y van a ver esta pelea el sábado y no se van a perder de nada.
Thank you for everything, and just don't miss the fight. It's going to be a great one.
Thank you, Victor. We're excited to have you here, and we know this is going to be, I tell you, the flyweights, the super flyweights, they put on tremendous shows. As Juan said, Victor had a split decision loss against Luis Neri, and if you know the background of Neri, his punching power, that's a huge statement. So we're excited to have Victor here on the show. Now we move on to the main event. Cecilia Braekhus, second time on HBO, first time female championship fight as the main event on HBO. But we can't just talk about the champions. I want to give a lot of credit to Alexandra Lopes. Sorry, I can't remember. I'll let Wayne. But no, when we were looking for, who could we find? We went through a lot of different names, and even though this was a huge opportunity, it wasn't easy finding an opponent that was credible to fight as the main event on HBO. We had someone from a higher division that would have had to come down, someone from a lower division would have had to come up, and just the timing was a lot of the people weren't available. And then as soon as I reached out directly to Alexandra, she recognized the value of this opportunity, not only to be the main event on HBO, but to be part of history as the last HBO broadcast, and not only to challenge for every conceivable title that there is, even the ring pound-for-pound championship. So they jumped at the opportunity. There was no intimidation at all in terms of taking the fight, in terms of fighting Cecilia, who's considered the best female boxer in the sport today. And when you make fights, and sometimes there's a lot of back and forth, that wasn't the case in this particular situation. So we definitely want to acknowledge Alexandra for that, taking this championship opportunity. So with that being said, I want to bring up coincidence they have the same last name. And he knows her, can introduce her. So say a few words, Wayne, and then to introduce, please come up to the podium.
So, just a little brief history of how we got to this stage. 2008, I was training my two boys in this gym, and my son name is an undefeated professional. And this young, at the time was Russian, Polish female boxer came in and was looking to spar. The first one she got to spar was my son, me. So I said, we will work accordingly, and evidently he did, because here we are. So, Goody recognized her hard work ethic right away. She's the hardest worker in the gym. And she had to work really hard on skills set over the years. But she has an comparable work ethic I've never seen before. She's an attorney full-time by day, and I run a construction business full-time. That's what we do for everyday life. But she's worked really hard, and she epitomizes what my father's words of wisdom always were. Being good has its rewards. And she's the most unentitled human being I've ever met. She's worked hard for everything she has, and nothing's ever been handed to her. So, to get to this title shot, we fought hard. We've had a couple of fights. For the title before, out of the country, we went through the opponent. We're happy to get the shot. You know, when you go out of the country, it's a tall order, so we've worked hard. She's worked really hard to get here. I'm really proud of everything she's accomplished and how she's worked for it. And like also Cecilia, Tina, Tom, everyone for giving us the call, giving us this the opportunity. And Champ has world-class skills, and I think honestly, this is the highest skill set in female boxing in this world, and this comes from my heart. I mean, so we're honored to fight for the title, and we're happy to be here. And so introduce my wife, and since I have my Polish mother-in-law and my Polish sister on the crowd, I'm going to introduce my wife first in Polish and say, to jest moja żona, piękna, Olu, which is, this is my beautiful wife. Thank you.
My husband is really nice to go home with me, so that's a lot of compliments. As he mentioned, our journey started about 10 years ago, and it's taken us a lot of different places. As he already explained, we do work full-time, and we've actually built our career really by ourselves. We signed with promoter, and really, there was a lot of help and contribution from our friends, family, co-workers, associates, just people around our community to get us where we are. And I really want to take just a second and give a huge shout out to everybody that's ever bought tickets to our fights, local businesses that threw some sponsorship money our way. This is really how we finance the majority, I would say, most of them except 2 fights for our entire career. So we're looking for a ton of hard work and a lot of contribution from people who really care about us, and we really, really appreciate it. Besides how work, it's really just a ton of passion for us. We love boxing, we are huge boxing fans, so it's just super, super exciting for us to have this culminate in this type of an opportunity. It's very exciting. We couldn't have missed it a million years, so we definitely appreciate it. As Wayne mentioned, we've had 2 title shots outside of the country, very good, very close fights. We are very excited to actually have a title opportunity here in the United States, which is home for us. And we wanted to say thank you so much to Tom, to 360 Promotions, to HBO, and of course to Cecilia and the team for giving us this opportunity. I'm sure there's a lot of other women that would have enjoyed it as well. So we are very, very grateful for it, and we are ready for a good fight. So thank you guys, and we appreciate you guys watching and supporting us. Thanks.
Thanks, Alexandra. I kind of cut to the chase there. She actually was scheduled for a fight in Massachusetts, and so she had been training for that. So when I called her, she jumped at this opportunity. And just to show you the level where she's at, Kelly Reese knocked down Cecilia in her last fight, gave her a very tough fight, and Alexandra holds a win over Kelly Reese. So that shows you it's a step up, and definitely it's going to be a tough challenge to defend all of her titles. You know, this is really a woman that needs no introduction. Her story, for those of you that don't know, she was born in Colombia. She grew up with parents that adopted her in Norway, and she loved the sport of boxing so much that she actually had to sneak out of her house to go to the gym because her parents at that time weren't supportive of her training as a boxer, or training in a boxing gym. So not only did she have to go through all that to go to the gym, once she turned professional, the sport of boxing was outlawed in Norway. So she not only has opened a lot of doors for female fighters on television, but also in Norway, it's now legal because Cecilia Braekhus pushed in her first fight. It was the first professional fight in Norway in 35 years. So it's a huge testament to Cecilia. She sold out a 10,000 seat arena over there. She's chosen to fight here in the United States. This is her second fight this year in the United States. She fought in Moscow in her last fight, and you can really say she's a worldwide international star. She's undisputed, undefeated, best pound for pound, Ring Magazine champion, Cecilia Braekhus.
Thank you. First, I just want to say to you there, thank you so much for being here, for supporting my career, supporting this event. Thank you so much. And yeah, this is my second time fighting on HBO. Of course, it's a huge honor. Well, it's hard to put words, you know, the feelings to close the show, but we're going to do a great show. We're going to have an action-packed fight from first to 10th round. I'm in great shape. I have had a great camp with my coach, Jonathan Banks, and Lopez looks like she is ready to go. So, like my first fight is step up, this is going to be action from the first to 10th round. I was also very excited when I heard I was sharing the stage with two other women, with Lulu first, and then with Sheilds. Yeah, the future of women boxing. So excited, and this is a huge statement from HBO, closing up with 3 female fighters on the show. And I am so proud to have the main fight at this event, so proud to be a part of it, and I cannot wait for what the future will hold for women boxing. Yeah, this is, I'm going to keep it short, this is very emotional, of course. Also stealing the words of Larissa, this is going to be a celebration and not a funeral. So thank you so much to Tom Leffler, of course, and 360 Promotion. You have been wonderful. Thank you so much for the warm welcome I have had here today, and I can't wait for Saturday to come. Thank you.
Thank you, Cecilia. I just want to bring up Jonathan Banks. Jonathan, I've known for a long time. He's the trainer for Cecilia Braekhus. He was a trainer for Vladimir Klitschko, Vladimir, who had the longest run, championship run in heavyweight championship history. He held the title longer than Joe Louis. And when you have a run like that, it's tremendous. He started with Emmanuel Stewart, naturally the Kronk Gym. Jonathan had one of the most emotional nights that I've ever seen, or week, I should say, where His first fight with Vladimir Klitschko was when Emmanuel was sick. He couldn't come to the training camp. Jonathan won. Huge pressure, huge shoes to fill. Vladimir won, but Jonathan was in the corner as a chief second. And a week later, not only was he training the heavyweight champion of the world, he was training for his own championship fight, heavyweight fight, against Seth Mitchell a week later. So Vladimir Klitschko won. A week later, he fought Seth Mitchell, knocked out Seth Mitchell in Atlantic City, and it was one of the most emotional weeks that I've ever participated in. So with that, we just had this tremendous fight with Fury and Wilder at the Staples Center. Boxing in LA is alive and well. We had both Fury and Wilder, just like with Jarrell Miller. We had them both at the Klitschko training camps. So Jonathan can speak on a wide variety of topics. So with that, I want to bring up Jonathan Mix.
A lot of people don't know it, but that's my man. We used to go back a long way. He was about 150 pounds when we first met. So you can see how long we've been known each other. If you look at him now, you can see how long we've been known each other. And you know what I'm saying? There's nothing but love between us. He's a good dude, man. But we spent a lot of time in training camp and stuff like that together. He's first class guy, man. He's never the quiet guy. That's just not his personality. But he is a guy that when the bell rings, no matter who's across it, he will fight anybody. That's something like you got to take a hat up to him, just for that alone. And coming to now, a card full of top-notch professional female fighters, which to me is a long time coming. Because I've been a fan of boxing, period. And I just think it's one of the times to be a female fighter in the sport of boxing, because not only I think female fighters, they always have had the talent, but the platform was never there for them so they could display that talent. And all the female fighters that's not even fighting no more, now they can come up and shake the hands of the current fighters and let them know, to push this agenda along, because me personally, I think it's awesome. I think every time a female fighter is able to compete on TV, it's just, I think it does so much for the young in the different communities where these young women come from. And I have little ones at home, little young female fighters at home, and the first thing they ask me about is, when is the city fighting me? Because when she came to Detroit, and she was able to meet a bunch of them. So it's just an inspiration. And even our fellow Michigander with Sheilds, she's an inspiration as well. Because of now, you got so many female fighters in Detroit right now that's like trying to get in the boxing gym, because they say they want to go medal like Sheilds. They said she won 2, some told me they wouldn't win 3. But it's just the bar that once it's set, and I think that's one of the biggest we have in different communities, that the bar is set so low. So when they graduate high school, they feel they did everything. But these females have set the bar very, very high. So therefore, you have the ones that come after them that have a lot to look forward to. And me personally, I look forward to Saturday night. It's going to be a good fight. And it's going to be a historic night, and it's definitely going to be a night to remember. They say it's kind of bittersweet with HBO going to be in their last show, but at the same time, the sweet part is this is one of the first shows that the females will dominate the card, and that's what I'm looking forward to.
So with that, again, we want to thank everyone for coming out. The doors open at 3 o'clock on Saturday. The weigh-in, it's important announcement. The weigh-in will be here. It'll be open to the public. It'll start at 12 o'clock. The fighters will be on the scale at 12:30. We We invite everyone to come down, support your favorite fighters. It's open at 3 o'clock on Saturday, it's StubHub, and HBO starts at 7:20. With that, Brody, you want to have the fighters pose? I don't know if we're going to have room for all the belts, but we can here and take a group shot and then the individual face-offs for all the videos and photographers.
Do something dying. I need to get at least that. Okay.
Yeah. This is going to fight your mother.
How would someone take gold medals?
On your shoulder? Go on your shoulder.
I didn't know you were here. You said you were going to come.
Had them today.
Okay. Face off, Brady. Good time. Time good? Yeah. What is good time? Yeah, I'm good. Thank you.
Flash needs to cool down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Happens.
Barney. Barney. She's in front of Tom.
Sorry?
She's in front of Tom.
I'm sorry.
She's in front of Tom.
Can you move just... This is why we had the rope club.
Very great.
Face up. Okay, Tom? Yep. Good time? Yep. One.
Sure, get out of the way. So either come back here or go back.
Everybody look down the town here, please, first. Louisa? Russell, please. 1 second, Tom, get them up here. Louisa, you get here, please. Next to you, Russell. Everybody look down at the town here, please. Are you good, Tom? Yep. Thank you very much, everyone.
Alright guys, that's it. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to the channel. See you in the next time.
Bye guys. Oh no, cancel. Hi guys, I haven't seen you in so long. It's Cynthia, the real fight girl. I haven't been active on my YouTube channel because I got demonetized. So, but I'm gonna reactivate it again. But you can follow me. You can follow me at the Real Fight Girl on Instagram. And yeah, I need to hit a couple more.
You gotta work, bro.
Yo, bro.
Alright, bye.
Okay, I need to. My phone is like dying.
Hey, how you doing?